All right, so today we're going to talk about design backups and design drafts. And these are just a couple ways that you can save the design settings you have and work on a redesign or, just, kind of get a sense of what the design tools can do to your site without actually making any changes live on your reader facing site. So I'm going to start with the design backup. And this is just an option you can do to take a snapshot of all your design settings. So the widget placement. Widgets, again, are just the blocks of content on your homepage, as well as different things like, the layout of your header, the colors on your site. All those things can be taken in a design backup. It doesn't back up your content. We do take daily site backups of your content and hold on to those for about 3 weeks. So you don't have to worry about doing that. We do that for you every day. The design backup, however, is something that is up to you when you take those. So to take a design backup, you go to the SNO dashboard or just what you see when you log in, and then come over here to the left side and kind of scroll down here till you get to the Appearance tab. And then in that Appearance pop out, there is a button there that says Design Backups. So click on that. And so once you click on the Design Backup, and again, for those just joining us, I'm going to hold off a sec till there we go. So those of you who just joined us, we're talking about how to take a design backup. Step one is going to your dashboard and then going to the Appearance tab on the left side and selecting Design Backups. This backup will take just a snapshot of all of your design settings and widget settings. So to make a new one, it's just as simple as clicking this big button right here that says Create a New Design Backup. Then you'll get a new note there of the date and time when you took it and what the username of the person who took that design backup was. If you would like to give it a specific name, maybe September 2023, whatever you would want to call this, you can go ahead and do that. Just type the name there after clicking the tag icon, then click that tag again to save that name. I recommend taking a design backup before making any design changes to your website. It's also a good idea either at the start or end of a school year. That way, in case something were to happen, you've got those design settings saved. And if you were to ever need to restore a design backup, you could do that just by clicking the Restore Design here. And it is possible to delete these, although, again, there's no space limits or anything, so not really any need to delete those. But if you accidentally create a duplicate or something, you can delete that just by clicking that button right there. So that's how you can take a design backup, and if you need to restore your design to a previously taken design backup. So that was part one of today's webinar. That's the simple part there. Second part is a design draft, and you can take a design draft to work on a redesign or just kind of play around with the design tools in an area that's not going to affect the live version of your site. So first of all, design pro tip. If I'm ever going to be playing around with design, I always like to duplicate my tabs and then up here have one tab that's set to the reader facing side of my site and the other tab kind of back here on my dashboard. So to get to where I go for a design draft, I hover over the SNO dashboard dropdown in the upper left-hand corner. And then I will go down to the bottom option there, which is Design Options, and click that. That's going to open up your SNO design options here, which has a lot of other tabs you can click into. And one of those tabs is Design Drafts. So once you are there, you can have up to 5 design drafts created at a time. One word of caution there is every design draft that you take does have to duplicate all of your widgets within that draft. So it can slow the amount of time that it takes your widget page to load. If you ever notice your widget page loading very slowly, first thing to do is check your drafts and any that you know you're not using anymore. Like I know I'm not using the Strike Workshop one anymore. Go ahead and just delete those drafts that you're not using anymore. But if you don't have any, to create a draft, just click that button there. It's going to give it a name, and it'll be the number of drafts that you've created in the past, but you can easily rename that with this button here. Call it whatever you would like. And then once that draft has been created, to work on it, you're going to check it out. These drafts work kind of like a library book system where they're check in, check out. So only one person can have it checked out and be working on it at a given time. Once you check it out, you'll get that pop-up button and just click OK. And then you get this red box down here that tells you you're working on a draft. Conversely, then, if you go back to your reader-facing site and refresh that, you'll now see that same red box on here. So any changes that you make on the back end of the site, you'll see reflected here on this reader-facing site, and you'll know that you're looking at a draft. It's kind of, peace of mind that changes that you're making here aren't happening on the live site. So now that we're in a draft, we can kind of go wild and crazy here and make any changes that we want. So a lot of those changes are controlled here in the SNO design options. There will be future webinars coming up this week that talk more about these design options. So if you'd like to know about that, definitely encourage you to check those out. I'm just going to do a couple quick changes here to demonstrate some things here today. Let's say I wanted to, make my site look like the Nickelodeon of my childhood. So I'll select some orange and neon green here, and then I'll save those options. Again, I know I'm just working in a draft. And then if I refresh my page here, those changes that I just saved in the draft are now applied to my draft site. Again, that red box letting me know I'm working in a draft. So I can make all kinds of changes here in the appearance tab, the site designer. I could overhaul my header or my widget areas or my footer. I can adjust my widget styles, fonts. You can pretty much change your whole site, do a whole redesign here in a draft, and none of those changes are applied to your live site. Same with the widgets. You're still going to be working in the design draft if you want to rearrange or redesign your widgets here. And again, we have a webinar coming up later this week talking more about this widget control panel. So if you want to know more about that, check out that webinar. But you can overhaul this. Like if I want to just flip my news and opinion here, then you can do that in the widget control panel and just like that. But it's only happening in this design draft. Let's say I've finished my work for the class period, time's up. So what I would recommend doing then is checking this back in. And so now that red box is gone. And if I refresh my reader-facing site, it goes back to that live site. So all those changes that I'd previously been working on are still saved in that draft. So if I wanted to show that to someone, I can just click this view button here and it opens it up. I can then send this link to anybody and this draft is viewable to the public with this link. So if you wanted to share it with somebody, you can do that. If, I see that and, well, Kyle, we're just not feeling those Nickelodeon colors today. That's pretty awful. Why don't you just start over? I can do that by resetting my draft. If I do that, then that draft just reverts back to the same settings as the live site. So if I refresh that here, we're back to the live site. However, if I, work on this draft and do a lot of work here and everybody's happy with it, oh yeah, that looks great. Let's roll that out next semester. I can push it live, and then that draft will become the live version of the site. The draft will go away, and I'm all set there. So with that in mind, kind of tying it back to the beginning there, before you push a draft live, I strongly recommend that before doing that, you take that design backup so that in the event, you do a lot of work on a redesign and your readers aren't really feeling it, you've got that previous design that you can restore, go back to, and set your site back to the way it was before you pushed out that redesign. And then on the flip side, as soon as you push that redesign live, go ahead and take another backup so that you've got both versions of your site saved there in your design backups. So that's how the design backup and design draft system work. If anybody has any questions about that, please go ahead and drop those in the chat. But that is everything that I have for you on those two systems. Hope that you're able to utilize those as you maybe explore some of the other design tools that we'll be talking about later in this week's webinar. But that's all I have for today. So any questions, please put those in the chat. Otherwise, thanks for joining me today. If you want a copy of this webinar, just send us a support ticket with the date and the title, and we will get that link to you. And thank you all. Have a lovely afternoon.